This episode's already clusterfuck.
It is. It is. And even with the clusterfuck, we should do an update too.
What's
A coronavirus update.
Oh, what now?
Well, more and more things are getting shut down. More and more things are getting affected. Markets are being affected. Things are getting postponed. Things that, like, most companies are rush to get out are being postponed, like the new James Bond movie. What, though, is noticeably absent from any of this reporting is, are you noticing what's absent?
What is
reporting
absent?
of anything having to do with Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, that was absent long before this coronavirus shit started.
But now that it's become a meme and a joke, and people are kind of people have half taken it seriously to begin with. But now that it's not going away, the things like markets, different types of markets, and major institutions are being affected. And the leaders of these major institutions are noticeably, we're all friends with Jeffrey Epstein too.
If you say so. I still think this whole coronavirus thing's being blown out of
proportion. Oh, for sure. And I think so too. I mean, and the thing about with Trump, people are giving Trump a lot of shit about this, and I give Trump a lot of shit. I don't like him, but this is not the political show. But I think what's happened is he accidentally is telling the truth about this, where everybody else is trying to create all the powers that be are trying to trump up this coronavirus thing to try to distract, like, they've done years past. SARS, bird flu, swine flu. They couldn't have named this one after another animal, but they wanted to, I'm sure.
They kind of halfway canceled the Arnold strongman shit that's going on in Columbus this week too.
In Columbus, Ohio. There's
they still competed, but there wasn't near as many people there as what they had initially planned for. It was mostly just like friends and family. It wasn't open to the public.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem to be entirely unnecessary. Like, the delay of this movie seems unnecessary. Like, I don't know. It seems like they're protesting too much.
I get shutting down large events because there are cases here in the States. And if one person has that and you stick them in an arena with 5,000 people, that's 5,000 people that were just exposed to that. Like, it can mushroom out. I understand why they're shutting down public gatherings, but it's not near as bad as what the media and people are making it out to sound.
And if they were to report on the normal flu that comes around every year like this, we would have the same type of panic. And we'd have the same type of...
The flu has killed way more people this year than this coronavirus has.
And there was no panic on that. People aren't shutting down schools and shit. Nope. Italy, I heard, 2/3 of the people in Italy shut down or are on lockdown? There was a report today. Japan shut all of its schools down for a month or some shit? Like, and it all leads back to Epstein.
I haven't been following that close with it. I just saw on Facebook the other day that somebody in Greeley is suspected to have had it, which is like 20 miles east of me.
Yeah, being in North Carolina and in Ohio, there's... I don't think there's... Has there been any reports in Ohio? I don't think there has been. North Carolina, there were a couple of reports.
Well, nobody goes to Ohio, so...
If they can help it, yeah. In fact, our story today takes place in Ohio. But before that...
Yeah, half of it does.
We can explain that. Before we explain it, the reason it's all messed up is because this is the Higher Minds podcast. I'm Papa Darby.
And I'm Scott.
And we get stoned.
We're a couple of fuck-ups.
Yeah, so what happened?
The topic of the day, it's a true crime episode. And you sent me the name Stephen Spade. When I searched the name
Ohio.
Stephen Spade, I found a case on Steven Spader. So I researched the wrong goddamn Steven, and we discovered this
Right.
like 30 minutes before we sat down to record.
But they're both interesting topics. One, I got into the Spade one more because this episode originated from Katie, our media maven.
Media Maven?
Thank you,
Is
Katie.
that her title now?
Media maven. I called her that once, and that's all I'm remembering right now because once again, I'm a stoner.
Your Steven was a victim of a murder, right?
Yes.
My Steven
yes,
was
yours was
the
the murderer
himself.
Okay. But anyway, so before we get into the actual stories, I do want to talk about some happy news that I think you might like. It's a government I think you'll find heartwarming.
Okay.
So in March this month, I'm sorry. Oh no, I got this wrong. Oh, I looked at the wrong one.
What do you know? More fuck ups.
Here we go. No, I got it. I was about to report on the one from last year, but I'm reporting on the one in this year. Fairhaven, Vermont, in New this. Yes.
No, I don't live in Vermont. I don't know who the mayor of the city I live in is either. So.
Yeah. Well, this mayor is Mayor Murphy. He is a 3-year-old Cavalier Charles Spaniel, a therapy dog. He beat out a 3-year-old Nubian goat by the name of Lincoln. Lincoln obviously is very patriotic and served as a great mayor, but he beat this 3-year-old goat by 25 votes. So, yay Fairhaven. They are now being led by a dog.
So Fairhaven has proven that the entire idea of government is fucking pointless.
All hail Mayor Murphy, the Spaniel. Hail him. Hail him. This is my Homer Simpson. Yeah, it was great. I know.
Great Homer Simpson.
Anyway, so we're going to start. We flipped a coin before this, and Scott's going to go first. And tell us about Mr. Spader.
So Steven Spader was a former Boy Scout and high school dropout. He formed a club called the Disciples of Destruction.
Timmy!
I was hanging out with H&K just the other night.
Oh, I would, yeah. I'd have loved to have been there. I can't wait to come and hang out with you guys again. It's going to be so fun. I got the tickets already. Yay. Anyway, Disciples.
See, we have access to good weed all the time, so we don't.
Oh, no, it's not about the weed. I mean, no, I can get some pretty good weed here. But, no, it's about hanging out. It's about being with you, breaking bread, and having a couple of laughs. We're sitting here staring at each other now.
That got real gay.
We said that looking deeply into each other's eyes.
We
Scott
didn't
felt that
say
deep
anything.
in his heart.
You said.
Deep in his bowels.
Speaking of bowels, I took my pre-show shit before we sat down.
Wonderful.
Shamrock shakes come out about the same colors they go in.
Oh, that's great. Oh, man. Oh, I don't need that. Oh, thank you, Scott. Wonderful. Now I'm just picturing you sitting on top of like one of those Dairy Queen soft serve
the soft
dispensers.
serve machine.
Oh, that's horrible. Okay, all right. I'm sure that's much worse than anything you have to say about Mr. Spader.
Yeah, so Steven Spader made this the Disciples of Destruction Club. Even had a little logo made up for it with a DOD logo, I guess.
Badass. That's fucking sweet.
Spader had told his recruits that a home invasion was going to be the rite of initiation for club members.
That's not nice.
So on October the 4th, 2009, 17-year-old Spader and Christopher Gribble broke in and murdered 42-year-old Kimberly Cates
Oh.
and severely maimed her 11-year-old daughter.
Wow, these are assholes, huh?
Jamie was her name.
A
little bit, yeah.
I'm glad his last name's Gribble now. And serving as a public service announcement, if you join a club and they say that their initiation is a home invasion, that is not the club for you. Don't join that club. Just, don't invade homes.
Probably don't hang out with 17-year-old high school dropouts with a club named the Disciples of Destruction.
Disciples of Destruction. Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, so they broke in, killed Kimberly, and fucked up her daughter, Jamie, while they were sleeping in bed together. Kimberly's husband at the time was out of town on business during this attack.
Oh, that terrifies me. That terrifies me so much. Like, my kids, I'm not always with my kids. I'm divorced. It's not a secret. And that's just, that's a terrifying thought. Anyway, please continue.
This is a good case of why everybody should have a great big dog.
Yes. Or, yes.
This home invasion and subsequent murder would subsequently be known as the Mount Vernon murder. This took place in Mount Vernon, obviously. I don't know if I stated that.
Mount Vernon where? What state?
Vermont, maybe?
Okay.
Connecticut? One of those shitty northeast states.
Okay, because there is a Mount Vernon, Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay, not that one.
Seems like there's a Mount Vernon, Virginia or some shit, too.
Yeah. Wasn't that
Why the fuck are
Washington's?
there so many Mount Vernons?
Was that Washington's house's
Yeah, it
name
was.
or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Maryland, Virginia, somewhere in that area. The murder was dubbed a thrill killing and attracted national attention due to the brutality of the murder and the apparent lack of remorse from murderer Stephen Spader, along with the ages of the thrill killers when they committed these murders. Well, murder and attempted
They were
murder.
both 17?
Spader was 17. I think I read that the other guy was 19. And there were one or two other accomplices that weren't part of the murder per se, but were part of the home invasion.
You know what home invasion stories warm my heart? When the homeowner takes out a weapon and smokes them. Those home invasion stories.
Yeah,
make
I
me
like
happy.
the ones where like the pit bull chews their arm off, or the German Shepherd gets them, or like the homeowner hits them with buckshot to the chest.
Yeah, that makes me happy. I like that. Like I don't. So we've talked about before about the penal system and what we think should stay on and what should not. In the extent of government that you would tolerate, maybe. I'm assuming there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you will. But the things that should stay in your record, if there is such a record, is things like murder, rape, home invasion, things like theft like that, I think should also be something that is not tolerated, though I don't think it's on the same level as murder and rape and pedophilia and stuff like that. Just
No, theft and burglary and shit are on a different, lower level than murder and sexual crimes.
yeah. But still,
I'm a big believer in private property. If you come to take somebody's private property, they should be allowed to defend said private property.
yes, that's what I'm trying to get at. By any
use
means
of
necessary.
Big dog or booby traps or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
they want.
What was that?
Why don't houses have moats anymore? We should bring back moats.
We should. Why don't houses have moats? I don't know.
Right? Thinking a couple Dobermans, Rottweilers, whatever. Moat full of alligators. Ain't nobody coming in.
Honestly, I want turrets. I want turrets like 4 turrets posted at like each cardinal uh, direction, north, south, east, west of my house, and just rotating, watching around, video controlled, automatic. That'd be fun, right?
That would be fun. Yeah.
Just kind of sitting in your
Claymores hidden in the yard.
And that is after you get over that moat with alligators.
With an itty bitty warning sign saying trespassers will be eaten.
Like you have to get really close to it, like put your nose up to it almost. If you can read this, you're about to get eaten.
Once it's on the window to the house, you got to get across the moat and the claymores to be able to read the sign.
Oh, man, I will always call before I.
Anyways, so Spader that said a minute ago about how brutal these murders were. He admitted to hacking, not cutting, hacking, Kimberly Cates to death with 36 blows to the head and torso with a fucking machete.
Jesus, that's not necessary. Like that's a bad day. She did not need that.
That seems like overkill. I don't know how many whacks from a machete it would take to kill somebody. I'm pretty sure 36 is more than enough.
I mean, after 10, your arm would get tired, wouldn't it? Like he worked at it.
Oh, I'm sure he switched hands.
Yeah.
Although at the same time, 17-year-old boy.
Yeah. What an asshole. That's probably why he did it, because he
defense attorney Andrew Winters told jurors the state had no actual forensic evidence linking Spader to the crime, and that the key witnesses against him, 3 co-defendants, had all cut deals to lessen their own sentences. Quote, each has told multiple contradictory stories about what happened that night. Winter said of the 3, William, Mark, Quinn Glover, and Autumn Savoy. So those were the other 3 people, along with the 2 actual murderers. This didn't really matter because Spader seemed to put forth no effort to stay out of prison. He killed her. He admitted to killing her. Do what you need to do kind of situation.
So this was all in effort to be a part of this club?
No, this is the guy that started the club.
So why? Like, did he give a reason why he did it?
Not really. Just to do it.
So it really is a thrill kill, huh?
Fucking out of his mind. Yeah, exactly. Assistant Attorney General Peter Hinckley held up a long machete as he described the attacks committed by Spader and Gribble in the master bedroom of the Cates Mount Vernon home. Quote, they hacked them, they stabbed them, they cut them apart, and this is what this defendant used to hack the mother and the daughter in their bed. Hinckley continued, he brought this weapon down on them again and again and again. 36 hacks to kill the mother.
Damn. That's...
Jamie, the daughter, told a trooper that her mother's screams woke her up. They were sleeping in bed together. A surgeon testified that a blow that lacerated the girl's face was delivered with such force that it broke her jaw.
Wow.
Took a machete to the face so hard it broke her
That's
jaw.
Either a heavy machete or it's super strong. Machetes aren't heavy pieces of metal.
A jaw is thinner than a tree limb or whatever, though, so more dense, but thinner.
And it's a little girl, too, but still, that's...
Yeah, 11-year-old girl. Still.
Effort.
Another blow cleaved into the back of her head hard enough to crease her skull. A machete-like object, the doctor said, cut through bone and severed 2 pieces of her foot. So cut chunks of her foot off.
So they're just going up and down, just chopping at her.
Yup. He held up photographs of
terrifying.
Jamie's injuries as he detailed them for the jury. There were stab wounds on 2 sides of her heart, so they apparently tried to stab with this machete too.
Jeez.
A long gash on her face above her throat. That's the one that broke her jaw.
Jeez.
A deep gash above her hip that nearly penetrated her abdominal. I can't fucking say that word. Abdominal cavity. The girl told police that she survived by playing dead, even as her assailants continued to kick and hack at her. Hinckley said, quote, Kimberly Cates was alive when she suffered each one of those unimaginable wounds. She was alive when she tried to be a shield for her daughter. She made a mother's sacrifice for her daughter. End quote. So Kimberly tried
That's
to
horrible.
protect her daughter and paid the ultimate price for it. Hinckley told the jury, quote, Jamie Cates didn't die. When her mother's killers left, that girl got up. She stopped playing dead. With one broken arm, her jaw shattered, and parts of her foot completely cut off, she got up. Jamie made her way to the kitchen and called the police. Milford Police Sergeant Kevin Furlong arrived at the scene first. When he looked through the front window, he saw Jamie lying on the floor covered in blood. Part of her foot was missing, Furlong testified. Other parts were barely still attached. She was attempting to scream and yell, however, nothing was coming out.
God, yeah. I mean, like that's a nightmare in real life.
This is an 11-year-old girl. Keep that in mind, too.
Yeah. She's tough as fuck, but she's got to be fucked up now.
Both
so.
Spader and Gribble were sentenced to life in prison, while 3 other accomplices also took prison sentences, but not for the actual murder. Like I said, they weren't involved in the murder. They were just involved in the breaking and entering and hiding evidence and shit like that.
Wow, okay.
Spader and Gribble were both granted resentencing hearings due to Miller v. Alabama, which restricted the sentencing of minors to life sentences.
Isn't that what they got? Isn't that what you said they got? Is life?
Yeah, they were both sentenced to life plus. But they got to do a resentencing thing to see if they actually deserved the life sentence, since they were minors when they were...
Well, one was a minor, right?
Charged with
Or they both were?
According to this, both were, but I thought I had read the other guy was 19 at the time.
Okay, let's just assume they're 17. That would make more sense. But they so the law limits the possible sentence for a minor to life in prison, but they got life in prison. So I'm not understanding on what grounds. Just to retry?
Just with minors, if you're handed a life sentence, once you become an adult or some shit, you get to go through a resentencing.
Oh, okay.
To see if you actually deserve that life sentence.
Oh, okay.
I think is how I understood what was this? Miller v. Alabama. It's case law shit. Shit that you'd be interested in.
Yeah. Yeah. Stuff that I would have read if we were both looking at this guy.
Yeah. If we were looking at the same person, that's stuff that you probably would have gotten into.
The stuff that I did get for the other guy.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Spader informed his attorneys during an April 2013 resentencing hearing that he did not want a reduction in sentence, describing himself as, quote, the most sick and twisted person you'll ever meet, end quote.
Okay. I guess let's give it to him.
Spader waived his right to appear in court personally and reportedly instructed lawyers not to argue for a reduced sentence, saying he did not want to, quote, slip by on some technicality. He insisted he wants to, quote, take responsibility for my actions. So while he's a murderer, he's at least an upfront and forthcoming guy about it.
But that's excuse me. But that's like atypical. That's not normally what people do. So
no.
That being so sorry. That
choking on the dick over there or what?
Yeah, it's a big one. That being such an outlier, there's got to be something wrong with him in his head anyway. I mean, there obviously is because of the murder and the callousness, but there's
You being the guy that hacked 2 people up with a machete has something wrong with his head.
more, but more above and beyond other people that do that. Because I mean, he's not the first person to do that, but even fewer people.
He's next level crazy.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's not just crazy. He goes above and beyond. He's an overachiever.
Wonder what his scores are. Remember Jesse James Cowens?
What?
Jesse James Cowens, the guy who killed Clara Swart.
Oh, okay, yeah.
How his prison scores were phenomenal. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that at all.
His test, he scored very high on like crazy. How like, never mind. Fuck it. I wonder where he would where this Spader would score. Is what I'm saying. Compared,
he's
to
got to be somewhere close to like Charlie Manson if he's just okay with staying in prison.
Yeah, I mean, there are some I've heard those stories before, but yeah, they're not right. Anyway,
Spader wrote a letter that was read by his lawyers. Quote, "Through my impulsive actions, I have torn apart families and ruined lives. I am truly sorry for the pain I have caused to you. I do not expect forgiveness, nor do I deserve any." End quote. At the original trial, the strongest evidence against Spader turned out to be his own words after he was found to be bragging to cellmates about the graphic details of the murder. So while he was in jail awaiting trial, he was bragging about it.
Yeah.
To the other guys in jail.
He seemed to not care who knew. I mean, they didn't have evidence. They didn't have forensic or physical evidence against him, and he knew that, and he didn't care. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They had no forensic physical evidence linking him to this. Just his own fucking boasting that he did it.
Yeah.
He had reportedly boasted about the amount of blood he had seen, and also that Mrs. Kate's brain had been left exposed and her eyeball ejected from its socket by the ferocity of his blows.
Fuck.
He was sentenced to life plus 76 years, and that was upheld in the resentencing deal.
Good.
I found another article related to this on CBS News that said one of the witnesses to the murder, one of the guys that he had bragged to before he had even gotten arrested, a friend, basically, had been found dead. Jamie Hollins, 22, was found dead in his apartment July 31st, 2010. Investigators had not determined the cause of death at the time of the article, which basically leaves us with one huge question. What did Jamie Hollins have on the Clintons?
He knew something.
Something.
Oh, vicious people. The only family worse than Steven Spader.
Definitely more deadly than Steven Spader. But yeah.
So
that was my half of the guy that I researched.
All right. So I don't know. That was half an hour-ish. I don't know if this is going to be a two-parter or just a super long one, but yeah. I think I have a little more on that, so I'll just jump right in.
Yeah. Go for
so
it.
This one, like I said, was suggested to us by Katie. I don't know where we're going to fit in her recording, but you probably have already heard her recording at this point. You haven't heard it yet, but
Why don't we put it in right here then?
Okay, so Stephen Spade, we went to high school together. Mogador was an exceptionally small town, a village even, not even an actual city. He was your classic stoner high school kid, super nice guy, heart of gold. He was in Boy Scouts most of his life. Being such a small school, you just kind of knew a little bit about everyone. Lisa, his cousin, was in my math classes, which either meant she was behind or I was ahead, because she was definitely older than me. She was your classic kind of white trash, had a reputation kind of girl, to say the least. Not necessarily someone I got down with. So, a couple years after we graduated, I had gotten word about Steve's disappearance. It's a small town, so things like that don't really slip under the radar. Looking back, specifically, what I think is the most disturbing of it all was Lisa would show up at Steve's dad's house and constantly ask, have you found any leads on his whereabouts? Have you heard anything? We're so upset. Yikes. So, the story that had circulated around town was Steve and a friend were at Blossom for a concert, and Lisa and her then boyfriend Rafferty had invited him over for a house party, aka meth, and off he went. So, reading the headlines later, I guess maybe that was a little off. But by the time the story had gotten out that he was missing, he'd already been tortured for well over a week in the basement of this house in Akron. Just beating him and waterboarding and cutting him, and finally they beheaded him. So kind of hard to imagine living in this house knowing that there's just this brutally murdered dude in your basement. So crazy. But I guess that's meth for you. They put it all together finally when they had found a head and his body just burning in a field right over the state lines in West Virginia. So incredibly tragic. I can't imagine losing a child in such a fashion. It's just unimaginable to me. But yeah, Stephen Spade, crazy, crazy story. And not the only crazy story out of Mogador. So, ooh.
And that was it. Okay. Anyway, so I'm starting here. Let me cite my sources. Clevescene.com, an article called The Wrong Crowd from April 12th, 2006. Legacy.com and supremecourt.ohio.gov. I love doing crimes, doing this on crimes in Ohio, from Ohio, because the court documents are so easy to get. Like, nowhere else have I found that they're so easy. So, on his obituary, or in one of the articles, captioned under a picture of a boy or a young man with brown hair, glasses, chubby cheeks, clean-shaven blank stare of an ID card, it says, Stephen Spade's murderers described him as a good guy. I'm going to read you part of his obituary here. Stephen W. Spade, 19, died suddenly on February 4th, 2005, and was brought home to rest on August 19th, 2005. A lifetime resident of Mogador, Stephen was a graduate of Mogador High School, where he also attended Maplewood Vocational School, learning power equipment mechanics. He was a full-time student at TDDS for diesel mechanics. He was a member of Mogador United Methodist Church, which started his Scout Troop 342, of which he was a member from Tiger Cubs to the rank of Eagle Scout in 2003. Stephen was an employee of Capco and Roadway and was a former employee of Talmadge YMCA as a lifeguard, and was a counselor for Camp Fun and Son at Wedgwood United Methodist Church. He was also previously employed by McDonald's in Mogador and Walnut Drive Gardens. In his time, he touched countless lives with his smile and humor. He will be immeasurably missed and will always be young in the cherished thoughts and prayers of his father and mother, Jean and Cheryl Spade, brother Kenny Spade, sister Megan Spade, grandparents Clark and Lorna Spade of Pennsylvania, grandmother Virginia Spade of Oklahoma, and grandparents James and Irene Farrell of South Carolina, aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, great aunts and uncles, and numerous cousins. On August 7th, 2005, a patrolman in West Virginia was called out to an open field to investigate a report that a car had dumped something suspicious. The patrolman then saw the dumped object was on fire. He had the fire department come and extinguish the flames. He then noticed it was a badly burned human corpse. The body was unable to be identified. On August 7th, 2005, Lisa Penix approached her cousin, Eric Berkheimer, a Mogador police officer and also Spade's cousin. Penix was his cousin as well. Lisa Penix was. Penix described events that had allegedly occurred on February 4th, 2005. She said she was at home on Vora Street in Akron with William Kramer, Spade, Derek Shutt, Jason Keenan, I think I knew Jason Keenan in high school, and he's about the same age. Patrick Shane Rafferty. Penix. So Penix is spelled Penix, and I accidentally spelled penis here.
Of course you did.
I love it. Anyway, so Penix.
Just autocorrected right to it, huh?
I write it all the time.
All the time.
So Penix.
It's always on the tip of your tongue.
It's
too.
usually right there too. Yeah. Anyway, Penix claims that during
that's 2 you suck dick jokes in this episode so far.
hashtag dick sucking. Anyway, Penix claims that during that evening, Spade was murdered. In her confession, she makes Patrick Shane Rafferty responsible for the crimes and downplays her role, trying to make herself look like a victim. As a result of her confession and subsequent investigation, and her, by the way, her looking like a victim is bullshit. Penix, Kramer, Keenan, Shutt, and Rafferty were charged with numerous crimes. Kramer and Shutt eventually pled guilty to aggravated murder and numerous other crimes, and the state in turn recommended that they not receive death penalty. Penix went to trial for her crimes and was found guilty of aggravated murder, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. Keenan, meanwhile, agreed to testify truthfully and pled guilty to lesser crimes, including tampering with evidence and obstruction of justice. Based on the above, Rafferty was indicted on the following charges: 1 count of aggravated murder with death penalty specification, 1 count of kidnapping, 3 counts of tampering with evidence, and 1 count of abuse of a corpse. He ended up getting life in prison without the possibility of parole. This is what happened.
What is abuse of a corpse? Burning it? Disposing of it?
Yeah, cutting it up, doing anything but call the cops. That's abuse of a corpse. It's the medical examiner or somebody that's supposed to be able to, the coroner or medical examiner that's the only person that's supposed to be able to touch a dead body ever. Well, move it. Order to be moved. What's that?
What if it's in my way?
I'm right. So this is the timeline. Stephen was working 2 jobs and studying at TDS Technical Institute, and this is this all happened February 4th, 2005. He had hoped to work on a cruise ship. Stephen, like a lot of kids his age and where he was from, though, started to dabble in meth. I didn't. I got the fuck out of Akron and Mogador, and so did you. I don't know what your meth experience is. I have 0. Don't do meth, kids.
TDDS is right near Lake Milton, Ohio, which is out towards Youngstown.
Oh, okay.
So that explains the meth.
Yeah. I used to go to Jackson Milton. Huh. It was out there too.
We used to party like right around the corner from TDDS. I had a friend that owned a little bit of property out there with great big bonfire parties and trucks. And shit.
Our web guy Dean, he's from there. He's there now, in fact, I think.
Yeah, she owned a tattoo shop actually, and she lived right across the street from the lake.
Oh.
So it wasn't lakefront, but it was right there. You could walk across and go swimming.
Oh, yeah. I hung out there for a couple of summers. So yeah, he was dabbling in meth. He told friends that he didn't want to do it anymore, but he never really got the chance to officially quit. That day, he'd stopped by a friend's house, whose name was Ryan Brookman, after school, and he invited him to a hotel party. Brookman declined, saying that something didn't seem right. Spade said that they'd be partying probably with a bunch of meth. At Brookman's place around dusk, Spade's ride arrived to pick him up and take him to the party. He was picked up by William Kramer, a friend he had made at TDDS. The 23-year-old Kramer looked... I go in and out of quotes from the different articles, but this is, quote, 23-year-old Kramer looked like the ultimate Pantera fan. He kept his head shaven, accentuating the depth of his brow. His red mustache and goatee framed thin lips, from which he mumbled in grave tones. Despite his badass appearance, however, his hunched shoulders hinted at insecurity. Now, the article is trying to give you...
That just described like a quarter of all the white people in Ohio.
Well, right. So the article is trying to give you this feeling of this person and give you this bad image, but I think the article is kind of being douchey in that way. Like, except for the bald head, that's you.
Yeah. And I used to keep my head shaved, so.
So, I mean, that's...
Yeah, that literally described like half my friends in Ohio.
Right. And this article kind of tries to class shame these people, but It turns out that these people are pieces of shit anyway, so all the class shaming it does, I don't really care about, except that these guys deserve all the shame that they can get. So, they were known to get high together, Spade and Kramer. Spade had invited Kramer to this party. They stopped off at BP, picked up some beer, and went to the Forest Street location. Quote, the stately brick structure had seen better days. Gutters now swayed like streamers from the edge of the roof. Steep concrete steps crumbled up to a rickety porch. 3 people, just as dilapidated, lived inside. And that's where I go with class shaming. Like, there's no need for that, except fuck these people. Derek Shutt was the main tenant. He was 43, 450 pounds, covered in tattoos, rotting teeth, nicknamed Little Man. He worked as a doorman at Flashdance in Akron. Have you ever been there?
I've driven past it. I've never been in.
I've been to like.
That's part of like the strip club alley where it's every other business is a strip club.
I've been to like 3 strip clubs in my life. They're not really my thing, but that was the first one I had ever been to. Yeah.
I don't know if I remember what the first one I went to.
Oh.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of them right there.
So he had a record for theft and receiving stolen property. He'd quit drinking, but apparently he was cool with meth. Shane Rafferty was Shutt's roommate. He grew up in Baton Rouge, but was born in Ohio. He was a 26, divorced father of 3. He dropped out of 9th grade to move back to Ohio. Apparently he was the spitting image of Pee Wee Herman. Rafferty was a farmer by trade.
I wonder what Paul Rubens is up to nowadays.
I don't know. The last thing I saw him in was Blow.
Oh, that's been a while ago.
That's the last thing.
They did a Pee Wee's Playhouse stage performance. That was the last thing I saw him on. That was a year or 2 ago, probably.
Take some shrooms, go see that. Fuck yeah.
That'd be a
it would. But don't do meth. Rafferty was a farmer by trade, but his winter offered little work. He was employed at the time as an alcoholic. Ba-doom-cha. Relatives say that he was a doting father of 3, but friends knew him as a jealous power tripper who dealt meth. Apparently, though Spade didn't know it, Rafferty had a beef with him because Spade had a crush on a stripper, Laura Zelinsky, but who Rafferty also liked. While the 4 men were partying,
they do understand they're just doing that for the money, right?
The strippers, they're not. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't actually give a fuck about you.
No. Yeah. So there's the 4 guys, Rafferty, Spade, Shutt, and Kramer. While they were partying, Penix emerged from her bedroom. She also lived there, Lisa Penix. She was Spade's cousin. She'd invited him, offering him some meth and a ride to Cleveland. He wanted to go to Cleveland for some reason. The cousins had...
And if you're going to go to Cleveland, you might as well be on that.
I like Cleveland. I used to live in Lakewood, and it was... I really liked it. I liked West Cleveland. So, quote, the cousins had grown up together in Mogador. Like Spades, Penix's innocent appearance belied her love of meth. The 19-year-old often curled her chestnut hair, and her pointed chin, porcelain complexion, and black frame glasses made her look like a kindergarten teacher. Yet her friends described her as a drama queen who spun tall tales in search of sympathy. The way she told it, someone was always dying in her family, Rafferty would say. Unquote. She was a stripper who was more than friends with Rafferty. Apparently they were just fuck buddies, but she ended up following him to move into this house. So after drinking for a few hours, around 10, 30-year-old Jason Keenan stopped by to drop up ink for some tattoos. Apparently Shutt was a amateur tattoo artist, and they were all going to go and get a bunch of tattoos there. They invited Keenan...
Meth and tattoos. That's a good night in Cleveland.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a nickel, I'd be broke. I've never done that shit. So then at that point, they all went downstairs to get tattoos from Shutt. As they started, they had Spade sit down in the tattoo chair, and Rafferty got some duct tape and asked Spade if he could duct tape him. Rafferty says to Spade, hold on, I'm gonna try this. No, I'm not gonna do it. I was gonna try a Pee Wee Herman
said you were
accent,
gonna try it,
or a Pee Wee Herman voice, but I can't think of it right now.
Now that you said you were gonna try it, you have to try it.
I can't hear Pee Wee Herman right now.
Your voices have always been so good in the past.
It's all about trust, right?
That's bad. That's more like that.
What the fuck?
It's all about
was
trust,
that?
right?
I can't do it. Anyway, I'm gonna work on that, and we'll do it later. I'll do it later. Anyway, so it's all about trust, right? Rafferty said to Spade. Spade agreed. So Rafferty taped Spade's hands and feet together. Then he punched Spade in the face. What the fuck was that for? Spade asked. You know what the fuck that was for?
You know what the fuck that was for.
Rafferty replied. He continued to beat Spade, hammering his face and stomach. No one interfered. Finally, Spade fell from the chair. Rafferty dragged him down the hallway toward the bathroom. Rafferty pulled Spade's cell phone from his pocket, scrolled through the list of dialed numbers. He stopped when he reached Lori. See? See? That's so bad. Rafferty shouted to the other four, waving the phone in each of their faces.
He's fucking with my girl.
Then he resumed kicking and punching Spade.
You almost sound more like fucking what's that cartoon cat? Snagglepuss.
Nobody remembers what Pee Wee Herman sounds like anyway. I sound exactly like him. It's right on. So, then he resumed kicking and punching Spade. Rafferty told Kramer,
Get your bluesy in.
and so even though Kramer and Spade were close friends, and he didn't know Rafferty from Dick, Kramer started beating his friend. The group then tied a rope around his neck and dunked his head into a toilet until he lost consciousness. Then they took a cigarette break. After they were done smoking, Rafferty asked Shutt for his gun. He produced it right there from his pocket. He pointed at the back of Spade's head and shot. Rafferty then asked Shutt for his pocket knife, which he handed over. He then slit his throat, saying,
It smells like a dead deer.
And then he drained him like one over the toilet.
Oh, I shouldn't be laughing at that.
But this guy's a joke, so fuck this guy. But so yeah, he drained Spade over the toilet like a deer. As Spade's body lay there where they drained it, they go and have a beer. No one panicked or called the cops. The only person who asked to leave was Keenan, who said that he needed to pick up his girlfriend and that it would look suspicious that if he didn't. Shutt vouched for him, and he was allowed to leave. Rafferty then grabbed a hacksaw from his car and sawed off Spade's head. He took the head, shoved it in Appendix's face, and jokingly said,
Your cousin has something to say to you.
That'd be terrifying, right? If he said that to him with his head, oh, that would be horrible. Like that, in that voice? Oh, God. Anyway, they wrapped the body, his cell, and the tools used to kill him and put it all in the trunk. Filling up, including a gas can, their car with gas, with money that they took from Spade, they drove to Mineral Wells, West Virginia. They pulled off on the side of Butcher's Bend Road, took the body out of the trunk, doused it in gas, and it on fire. Then they drove home and watched cartoons. At this point, I asked you to do the aftermath from it because that was 7 pages, and I thought that would be plenty. So what ends up happening after that is his roommate and his family start, not his roommate, sorry, a friend of his and his family start noticing that he's not going to school, not asking for rides, not doing what he does normally. And so they start calling around and asking stuff and asking people and tracking him down. And Lisa starts feeling guilty about it. And goes to her cousin, the cop, and tells him, and then they start investigating, and they all end up going to prison, which I went through before. So that's the story of Stephen Spade, or the end of a story.
Yeah, that didn't go too damn long. Each of us doing half of 2 stories makes one full episode.
Yeah. Yeah. That would suck. That was his cousin and a friend of his that didn't even know the other guys that murdered him. Like, and apparently the whole thing lasted. Apparently, he was tortured for a few days, up to a week.
Shit.
I got differing stories on that. Katie says that he was, by the time they started looking for him, he had already been tortured for a week.
Shit.
And he was dead and burned. But yeah, 19 years old. Tragic.
I'm not gonna lie. I've been distracted by your microphone most of when you were talking. Your
My microphone?
your shock absorber thingy is not done right, and it's driving my ADD insane.
It's not done right.
That right there where your finger's at,
Okay.
your right index finger,
Oh.
and then the next one too.
There you go. Does that look
Yes,
better?
that
Everybody
was
at home,
so
does that look better? Anyway. So,
That's 2 completely different Steven Spade.
and the moral of both of those stories are don't go to Ohio.
I don't know what mine had anything to do with Ohio, but yeah, I could recommend Ohio's not. You're not missing anything.
I heard it in your story. It was screaming, don't go to Ohio.
I mean,
Little tiny voice.
there's a Rock Hall and the Football Hall of Fame. Cedar Point.
I haven't been to the Football Hall of Fame in years. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that's worth going to.
I lived in Ohio for 20 some odd years and never went to either of them.
No?
Never.
The Football Hall of Fame is... I was a freshman, I think, in high school when I went. It made me want to play football, so I played football, and I don't really like playing football.
Cool story.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Cedar
better
Point.
than getting my
If
head
you're gonna
chopped
go to
off by my
Ohio, go
cousin.
to Cedar Point, and then turn around and leave.
Cedar Point draws from around the world. Yes, absolutely. Go to Cedar Point. I used to work there. Did
No,
you know
I
that?
did not.
Did I tell you that? I worked there for a summer, the summer after high school. Oh my God, it was so much
I
fun.
bet. Fucking
It was
amusement park.
really, really fun. Yeah. But so the thing is, though, you had to live there they like recruited from around the world. And if you lived outside of a certain radius, they provided housing. And so I lived there for nearly free for the first time in my life, living, in my own place. And it was, yeah.
Would they
I
put
fucked
you in
up
like a
some shit
hotel
there.
or whatever?
No, they have like, it's like college
Okay.
dorms. That's what it is. Yeah.
So you didn't get your own
Yeah.
room. You had to bunk up with somebody.
I did at first, and then eventually I got my own room. Yeah.
What the fuck is the Johnny Knoxville amusement park movie? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
It was based on a park in New Jersey. Fuck. Action Park. Action Point. Action Point is the name of the
Oh.
real one. Action Park is the name of the movie, I think.
I think maybe you're having a Mandela moment because we went back in time and prevented New Jersey. Now I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, I forgot. You chose New Jersey on that one.
The one that nobody's ever going to hear.
Never.
Yeah. Go back and look for it, listeners. You're not going to find it. Not yet. Give us a couple months.
Yeah, that movie is
Anyway.
funny as fuck, though. It was on
Cool.
Amazon or Netflix or something. I just watched it not long ago.
I don't watch too much Jackass or anything.
That was my shit growing up.
Too much.
When we were in high school, I had a buddy
Chrome.
that had a video camera, and we used to go around hitting each other with shit.
It's so weird when like the differences in age like pop out. I was an adult when that shit came out.
No, we were like
Like,
middle school, high school, and that shit first came out.
yeah, I was married.
I remember my one buddy lived across the street from a park that had one of those little kiddie wading pool things. And another buddy got a nail polish remover, dumped it on him, lit himself on fire, then jumped into that pool one night.
All right, that guy still around?
Yep. Haven't talked to him in a while. Last I heard, he was going into the Marines.
Yeah, that sounds right. Cool. Well, I hope he's okay.
He burnt part of his nipple off and most of the hair on the one side of his head.
Good.
It was funny, though.
Yeah, he deserved that, or he earned that scar.
Good times. Just hitting your
Good
buddies in the
times,
balls
good
for no reason.
Oh yeah, fucking kids. I used to do that. But anyway, so yeah, that was Steven and Steven. What's going on next? What are we gonna do next?
I don't know. I thought of one this morning and didn't write it down immediately, and now I can't fucking remember it.
Lame. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, we'll figure it out, and I'm sure the listeners will know.
Yeah.
Probably won't figure it out this second.
We'll try to coordinate better on the next one too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever picks the next topic, send the other one a link so that we know exactly who we're talking about.
Yes, for sure.
Let's do
Charlie
this
Chaplin is coming up.
Wikipedia fucking page link.
Charlie Chaplin is coming up. I think there's only one of those, but I will definitely send you the Wikipedia page if it's that one that we do.
That's the guy who ran Germany for a little while, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He had the little mustache and the hat.
Yeah. Have you seen Iron Skies?
No, it keeps on like Netflix is like pounding me with it. I just haven't watched it yet.
Fucking worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. I'll check it out. Oh, well, no, I'm the first one I have.
Yeah.
There was one before. You're talking about the new one, right? There's a new one.
I didn't know there was a new one. The one where the
there's
Nazis
there's
have
a
base
new
on the
one
dark side
where
of the
they come back from the moon or something like that. And I don't know, something like that. There's dinosaurs.
No, the one I'm talking about, they had a Nazi base on the dark side of the moon, and they come back.
Yeah. No, I've seen
Charlie
that one.
Chaplin is like their hero because of that movie, but they had a censored version of it, so they didn't get the whole movie. So when they get back, they go into a theater that happens to be playing this fucking 100-year-old goddamn movie and see the full unedited one, and it like changes their entire life, but they're still invading Earth from the moon and shit at the same time. And
I don't remember that. No, I have seen it, but it was a while ago, and I was assuredly stoned.
Yeah. I was pretty stoned when I watched it, but that's what I remember out of it, at least. I could be describing the whole fucking thing wrong.
Have you seen Tread yet?
I haven't.
Not me either. I was going to try to do it before this, but I didn't. Okay, that's the next assignment. Let's watch Tread before the next episode.
I don't even know where the hell to see it at.
Voodoo.
Voodoo?
I'll rent it. You can watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Send me your... Unless you just want to tell me right now. What's your username and password?
My username is your mom. My password is your face. So yeah, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But if you wanted to talk to us, how could you talk to us? Shake.
What the fuck was that? Is there an earthquake?
I hit the cord. I hit the cord on my phone.
If they want to talk to us, we're on Facebook.
We're on Facebook,
Instagram,
Instagram,
Twitter.
Twitter.
You can email us directly at highermindspodcast@gmail.com.
That was highermindspodcast@gmail.com.
I think that's what I said. highermindspodcast@gmail.com.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Good. Okay.
I think the funny's wearing off of that one.
But it's going to continue because that's how we do.
That is how we do. Yeah. You didn't ask the people how they were doing today, so.
Oh, I didn't. How is everybody? We get the same response at the end of the show. Nice.
They quit listening 5 minutes ago.
Well, in that case, yeah, if you listen to us, you can listen to us anywhere podcasts are. This will be on SoundCloud first, and then iTunes shortly after, and then everywhere else.
And everything's available at highermindspodcast.com, too.
Yep. And this is the Higher Minds Podcast.
It is. I'm Scott.
I'm Papa Darby.
Deuces, everybody.
Deuces. So you did somebody else entirely? Like, really?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I typed in Steven Spade, and this Steven Spader was like the first thing up, so I clicked on that, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking interesting. I assume you know nothing about this guy, right?
No. I read a little bit, something about a thrill kill. Like after you told me,
Yeah.
What was it? We started recording now. This was 30 minutes ago.
If that, yeah.
All right, so yeah, this episode is going to be a little different style.